Today we're going to make a chicken curry. First thing that you need to know is that you'll need some chicken. Obviously, if you're vegetarian, you can replace the meat with some corn or chickpeas or lentils, something like that. I actually bought the chicken that was diced already because it was cheaper. In school, we've got a class set of boards. They're similar to this. Same sort of size, but they're red in colour. And for any chopping of raw meats, for example, you would do that on a red chopping board, and then once you finish chopping the meat, you can get rid of all the waste and give your hands a wash. So you'll use two separate chopping boards. I'm just going to use a knife to cut the top open. Okay, and then I'm going to wash the knife and put the packaging in the bin. I've got rid of all of my raw meat. I've washed my hands. I've got rid of that dirty knife. There's a risk of Campylobacter and Salmonella poisoning with chicken, so we're just really careful with it when it's raw, and we cook it to destroy the bacteria, and that makes it perfectly safe. Right, on a separate chopping board then, on the one that's in your cupboard, you're going to prepare your vegetables. So everyone should have an onion. We're going to cut the top off the onion. These are the roots. We're going to go off with the top. And then cut it in half through the middle of the root. Now this onion's got loads of skin on it and it's quite muddy as well. So I'm just going to get all of that off the board and peel the skin off. There's a couple of layers to get the skin off mine, all the way round. And then when you're making a curry, you need to think about, do you want your vegetables to be quite chunky, or do you want them to be quite a smooth sauce? If you want your sauce to be quite smooth, then you will need to chop your onion quite finely. So what you'll do is you'll cut around the lines of the onion, making sure you don't cut into the root. Cut all the way round. And then once you've gone all the way around, place the flat side down on the board and then cut the other way. So you're just going to dice it up into a fine dice. If you like your vegetables a bit chunkier in a curry, there are so many different types of curries, so many different ways of making them. I'm really happy for you to freestyle on this however you like. So to cut it chunkier, I just cut the end off. Okay, cut it into a couple of pieces that way. And then cut it across the other way, either in half or into three, and that'll cut it up a little bit chunkier. So we'll put that in one corner of our board. If we run out of space on the board, pop it out onto your plastic tray. Then I've asked you to bring in a red pepper, only because that seems to be the colour that people prefer the most. They're the sweetest. I had a green pepper that wanted using up in my fridge, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to cut it in half. I've already rinsed it under the tap because we're going to use the skin. And then just with the knife, go around the inside to remove the seeds. And then pull all of those out. And then you're going to cut each of the halves up. You could cut it into strips like this if you wanted to, or you could cut your strips a little bit thicker. This is what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to cut them into a dice like this. Okay, and then we'll just do the same with the other half. Any other vegetables that you've got, if you're using the skin, they need washing, and then we're just chopping them up into whatever size pieces you see fit. And keep that separate on the chopping board. I've got my onion and my pepper chopped. Next I'm going to prepare my ginger. You need about sort of 2 to 3 centimetres. If you've got a slightly bigger piece, it makes it a bit easier to work with. Using a spoon, you're going to scrape the spoon down the skin of the ginger, and it doesn't need to be sharp, it just scrapes all of the skin away. So we're going to keep going around there until all the brown skin is removed. And then we're going to get a grater. I'll show you which side of the grater you need. And we're going to grate it onto this space here on the chopping board. So, take your grater out. This is the side you're looking for. It's the side you normally grate cheese with, to be honest. Place it down on the board, and then you start grating. It's got quite an odd texture, ginger has. It can be quite stringy. This piece isn't too bad. Just be careful of your fingers. Grate as much of that down as you can. When your fingers get too close to the grater, you can stop. You can also just chop it on the board. It can be quite difficult to chop because it can be quite tough. There we go, look, you can see all the sort of stringy bits and things there, look. And then you'll lift it up and you'll think, oh, I haven't got very much. If you give it a scrape inside, you'll find you've actually got plenty. All right, so you're trying to keep all that separate on the board if you can. Next then is the garlic. Depending on how much of a garlic lover you are, depends on how much you use. This is a bulb of garlic. This is a clove. I've asked you to use one, but if yours is particularly small or you particularly like garlic, you're very welcome to use two. So just cut each end off and then get your fingers in to pull the skin away. And then we're just going to pop that into a garlic crusher, crush it nice and finely. You could use the small side of a grater, but we haven't got one like this in school. I have at home. So we're going to use a garlic crusher in school. So the garlic goes in, both those legs together, squeeze, and you should see it come out of the holes. Scrape that off with the knife, and then open up the grater. I can remove this bit on my grater, but not the ones in crusher, not the ones in school. Scrape it out, and then the bits that didn't get passed through, they can just have a little chop. Okay, and that's all ready. Now I'm ready to go over to my pan. So I'm going to take some oil. I've just got some vegetable oil here, and I'm going to use about a tablespoon. This is a measuring spoon, and we're going to get the heat on. Get yourself a wooden spoon because they don't conduct heat up them, and we're just going to wait until that gets a little bit warm. Guys, I've had the heat on this now for about 30 seconds. Because it's a gas hob, that is going to be fairly instant. If you've got an electric hob, it's going to take a couple of minutes probably to heat up. When you move the oil around in the pan, if it looks like it's gone thinner since you added it to the pan, that's a sign that it's got hotter. And I've got it on about a medium heat. So I'm going to go in with my onions. That was why it's important to keep it separate on the board. And you'll hear it's not sizzling too much, it's not going mad because I've got a massively high heat. I don't want to burn it. You can hear a little bit of a sizzle. That oil's going to stop it from sticking to the pan, and we're just going to soften those onions for a few minutes. Okay, so I've started softening my onions now. You can see they're starting to get a little bit of a golden colour to them, but they're not sticking to the pan or anything. Next I'm going to go in with the diced chicken, which for me is straight from the packaging, but yours will probably be chopped up on your board. And we're just going to stir all of that around and wait till the meat has turned from pink to a very slightly golden brown or white on the outside. For about a minute and a half, you can see there's still some pink meat in there, so we're going to keep going for about the same. All of the meat's turned white now. I haven't got any pink meat. It'll still be pink in the middle, but we've browned it off on the outside. So next I'm going to go in with my other ingredients. So I'm going to go in with my pepper. Yours is probably going to be a red pepper. Just using up this green one. So that's the ginger and the garlic in with it as well. I'm just going to give that a stir. So we've got some sizzling, but it's not sticking, it's not catching on the pan. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit now because burnt ginger tastes really vile. We really don't want that to burn. And so I'm just going to give that a minute or two. And whilst that's just cooking away, I'm going to show you about opening up your tomatoes. So there's two different tops for the tomatoes. There's either a ring pull like this. If you've got the ring pull, you can either get your fingers under it. If you're having trouble with it, just get a spoon. Get the spoon underneath, like this, and push it up. Now you just want to push it up and forwards. Don't be too violent with it. And then get your finger through the loop, thumb on the top, and just put it towards you. If you haven't got a ring pull, you're going to need to use a tin opener, and we've got ones really similar to this at school. So you open the two legs, this is the blade, that goes into the edge of the tin, close them together and then turn it, and that'll open it up for you. Okay, so that's ready to pour in whenever we're ready. Next thing I'm going to get ready then is the curry powder. This is a mild curry powder, you can get medium and hot, and you put in however much of it you like. Inside of a curry powder, it's a blend of different spices. So in here I've got coriander seed, salt, turmeric, cinnamon, paprika, sugar, garlic powder, onion powder, cumin seed, ginger, mustard seed, black pepper, cardamom, chili powder, clove and nutmeg. So it saves me having to use lots of different spices. If you prefer to make your own spice blends, that's absolutely fine. If you're using a mild curry powder, you could add some extra chili to it if you wanted to. If I was using a medium curry powder, I might put 1.5 teaspoons in, something like that. I prefer to use quite a mild curry powder, so it's not too spicy, but then I can add more and get more flavour in there. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of that in. I use my measuring spoon to measure it. I'm going to go in then with my tomatoes. I'm going to take the tin over to the sink and just half fill the tin, give it a swash around, and then when I pour it out, I've cleaned the tin out and got rid of those last bits of tomato juice. And then I'm going to get my measuring spoon again, and I'm going to measure in a tablespoon of tomato puree. Okay. Now if you wanted to add anything else at this point, maybe some handfuls of spinach or some chickpeas or anything like that, if you were doing corn or lentils or chickpeas, they would go in at this point. I'm going to pop the heat up, try and bring it up to the boil. I'm going to add a little bit of coriander leaf. This is dried coriander. A bit of fresh coriander is really nice in a curry. If you're using dry, it's just a small amount. And then we're going to give that a stir. Wait for it to come up to the boil, and then I'm going to pop a lid on it and leave it to simmer for about 20 minutes. This has had almost 20 minutes now, so I'm just going to take the lid off. And so it's just simmering away nicely. All of the vegetables are going to be nice and soft in there, so I'm going to turn the heat off and leave it to cool for a bit before I pour it into my container. And there's the finished item. You can serve it either with rice or some naan breads, or the quick naan breads that we're making at school to go with it.